his sight was returned to him. Now the question is, number one, the person is killing the disciples of Jesus. The disciples of Jesus who have learned from Jesus in his lifetime are still alive. This guy is persecuting them. Jesus has already spent so much time with them, trained them, and before the death gave them the responsibility that go and preach to the world. Now he does not have to appear to somebody who is basically persecuting them. And second thing is, imagine logically, how could a person go blindfolded from Jerusalem all the way to Damascus with all of these mountains, and then crosses all of those streets to find that disciple of Jesus, and that disciple of Jesus puts his hands upon his eyes, and he comes to what? After God has given him the authority, go in the world, he is still blind, and he still needs the disciple of Jesus to what? Bless him and give him. So now his responsibility of preaching and his writing become more important than those people who were trained by Jesus himself. You understand my point? Okay, now the question comes, in the 27 books which are in the New Testament, almost 14 are the letters from St. Paul. These are called the epistles of St. Paul. There are 4 Gospels, 14 epistles, which are the written, say for example, letters of St. Paul. And then there are minor epistles, minor letters. They are written by James, by John. Now, 4 Gospels are the most important one because they are the core of what they call about Jesus, peace be upon him. And Gospel of Matthew is number 1, Gospel of Mark is number 2, Gospel of Luke is number 3, and Gospel of John is number 4. Now what happens is, none of them, number 1, let's talk about the agreed upon. Mark has never seen Jesus. Nobody believes that he has seen Jesus. What is said is that St. Mark was the student of St. Peter, and St. Peter was the one who was the Sahabi or the disciple of Jesus, peace be upon him. So St. Mark, he heard from Peter things about Jesus, so he wrote it as he heard from his teacher. St. Luke, the Gospel of Luke, nobody believes that he has ever seen Jesus. Luke was the student or the traveling companion of St. Paul. He has neither seen Jesus nor any of his disciples. He was traveling companion of St. Paul. So whatever he heard from St. Paul, he wrote in his Gospel. And he is also the author of the Acts of Apostles. Gospel of Luke is the largest Gospel, and the Acts of Apostles are one of the largest books in New Testament. So therefore, Luke and Paul 14, Luke Gospel as well as the Apostles, Acts of Apostles. So basically, the bulk of the New Testament is written by those people who has never seen Jesus at all. Now, Mark has never seen Jesus, peace be upon him. So therefore, you add Mark to it, and then you have got 75% of the New Testament written by those people which, according to every Christian, have never seen Jesus, peace be upon him. There's only difference is whether Matthew, the writer who wrote Matthew, is the Matthew who is mentioned as the disciple of Jesus, and the Gospel of John written by somebody who is also the disciple of Jesus, or also written by somebody later than that. Nowadays, among the Christians, there is a consensus. The first things which were written among the New Testament books were written by St. Paul in 50s. He mentioned the incidents in those, which some of them took place in 56, like this king died, this king put me in jail, we went over there, this fire took place, such and such. Matthew, that in 70s, the book of Matthew is written, because it cannot be written before 70, because it talks about the destruction of the temple. That temple was destroyed, and this is the way Jerusalem went, And this has happened because Jesus prayed against them and told them that you will be destroyed because you don't believe in me. And temple was destroyed by the Roman Empire in 70 AD. It cannot be written before 70 because it mentions something which happened in 70. Now, John is written somewhere after 100 because it talks about the church in Antioch, church in Ephesus, church in Asia Minor. And as you know, if you go nowadays to Turkey and you go to Ephesus, Ephesus is the area which is very close to Greek areas. If you have gone to Turkey, Izmir. After Izmir, you take the bus and it takes you almost an hour and a half, 90 minutes to go to Ephesus. Over there in Ephesus is the house of St. John where he wrote the gospel. And that's where Mary, peace be upon her, is also buried according to their understanding. That's where every pope, before he becomes the pope or before he is confirmed or after he becomes the pope, he is required to go for pilgrimage to Ephesus. It is required to do the pilgrimage of the house of Mary, peace be upon her. What they believe is that after the crucifixion of Jesus, peace be upon him, persecution took place. So St. John and St. James, son of Mary, the second brother of Jesus, and his disciple John, they took the mother of Jesus, peace be upon him, and escaped because from Jerusalem, they took a boat and they landed where Ephesus is right now. And that's where he wrote his Gospels and passed away over there. So what is said? That he is the one who has written between 100 and 125. So what happens is, Jesus, peace be upon him, passed away in 30. And these books are being written, 56, then 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Absolutely, it is St. Paul. And his writings have created the present day Christianity. And Christianity owes to St. Paul more than it owes to Jesus, peace be upon him. Number two, St. Paul has never seen Jesus, has never had the encounter with Jesus. Jesus never asked him to write a word from him except that vision. And that vision is so mysterious. He definitely, as Jehovah's Witness said it, it is the religion of St. Paul and not the religion of Jesus, peace be upon him. Well, you have established yourself. Now you want to really communicate your message. And I have said it that there are three different ways you can do it. One is the passive, the other is basically aggressive, and the third is assertive. Very often when we engage in the acts of interfaith, we are not there to prove the authenticity of Islam, even though inside we believe it. Our mission is to basically mitigate the negativity, the stereotyping, or so that they do not come and attack the community, us, our business, such and such. So what happens is it becomes like a passive kind of. As long as they believe that we are okay, we are equal, we are not from Mars, we are not animals, this is not acceptable from the Quranic perspective. Because passive communication in which you just say, I am just like you, then why that person is going to buy your product if he or she has got the product already? And from worldly perspective, their product is number one. Superpower, technology, education, we are here kind of dependent upon them. So if you do not prove your product, you have lost the case. So that is not the communication you want to go. The opposite of that is the aggressive communication. In the aggressive communication, you are putting down the other person. Now you have gotten the upper hand where you feel that you can communicate. Now you start criticizing the Trinity as if you are now hurting other person. Now aggressive is making the other person defensive. That person is not going to open his or her mind. You have not won the confidence to the extent where you can go on aggression. And very often also sometimes this is what happens in the work of Dawah.